Well, good morning, church. It is great to be back with you this morning. This last week, Pastor Bob really focused on the person of Peter and some of what we see in 1 Peter chapter 1. And so looking at the discussion questions, he asked, what does the word holy mean to you? And then the second question asks, how does Peter define being holy in 1 Peter verses 13 through 16? So we're going to get to that second question eventually, but what does holy mean to us? And the only reason I think that's important to ask, at the end of the day, what's really important is what's the biblical meaning of holy, right? But I think a lot of us, maybe if you've grown up in church, you've heard that word a lot. I mean, there's a lot of words that probably apply to that, where you hear certain words in the church, it becomes like our own language almost. But sometimes we lose sight of, well, what's it actually mean? What does that word mean? There's people that use it in pop songs and country songs, but what's the biblical definition of holy? And what we see with that is it means to be set apart. In other words, it's really like different in a good way. So obviously God is called holy all the time. When you look at Leviticus, which obviously 1 Peter, the passage we're about to read, points back to that. The idea of being set apart, meaning so pure, so blameless, so good, that he is different from us, from people. But when you look at 1 Peter, it lays out how that looks in a person's life, how we would be holy, and spoiler alert, it's just being like Jesus. But not only that, he tells us why. Why is it important that we are holy in the first place? And so I'm gonna read this passage from 1 Peter, starting in verse 13. It says, "Therefore, with your minds ready for action, be sober-minded and set your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. As obedient children, do not be conformed to the desires of your former ignorance, but as the one who called you is holy, you also are to be holy in all your conduct. For it is written, 'Be holy, because I am holy.'" What that's saying is trying to be like Jesus, trying to actually live out our faith is going to set us apart from the world because it's going to look different. You can look at someone who's actively trying to live how the Bible tells them to, and then someone who doesn't care what the Bible says. There should be a drastic difference in what you're looking at there. We're called to live out different lives. It's why it doesn't make sense when you have someone who says, "Oh yeah, I follow after Jesus," but they're not trying at all to live out what the Bible says. So that really brings us to the question of, well, why are we called to be holy? Why is that? And that's what we're going to talk about on Thursday. So hopefully you're able to think about it then, but just be thinking about what have you typically thought holy to mean versus what does it say here where it talks about just trying to live like Jesus, trying to be pure, trying to not just give in to the things of this world. And how are we doing at trying to be holy? I think we all can get better at doing that. And we're all never going to hit perfection and where we're absolutely 100% holy. And I think that's where a lot of us come to think of when we say be holy. We think, well, I'm never going to get there 100%. But we're aiming at trying to be more and more like Jesus every day. So we're going to talk about why that's our goal on Thursday. We'll see you then.